In the shadow of the Three Sisters Mountains, where the forest meets the stone, lies the quiet shell of a once thriving industrial marvel. Over a century ago, this place echoed with the roar of steam engines, the hammering of steel, and the breath of ambition. Today, it's ghostly silent, but not forgotten. While the mine itself only operated for half a dozen years, a lot remains of it, including several substantial 110-plus-year-old concrete mining buildings and a long row of coke ovens, as well as the lesser-known fan house and portal ruins farther up the trail, which you'll see today. Here, beneath the soil and stone, was a promise: coal. And from that promise rose the Hosmer PCC mine, one of the earliest and most advanced mining operations in Western Canada. Founded in 1906, the town of Hosmer was purpose-built by the Crowsnest Pass Coal Company, a subsidiary of the powerful Canadian Pacific Railway. The CPR's goal was clear: fuel its transcontinental trains with local coal and assert its control over the industrial lifeline of the West. The Pacific Coal Company was born. Hosmer was short-lived, but its impact was lasting. It was a bold experiment in resource extraction, infrastructure, and industrial design. It marked a pivotal moment when Canada looked inward in its mountains, rivers, and raw material for fuel of its future. The mine was operated by Hosmer Mines through the Canadian Pacific Railway subsidiary, Pacific Coal Company. It took a few years to develop the mine, with production starting in 1908. Most of the output was destined for another CPR property, the huge consolidated mining and smelting operation in Trail, BC, the world's largest lead and zinc smelter. It had an insatiable appetite for the mine's output. But despite its promise, Hosmer's flame burned bright and brief. Poor production, difficult mining conditions, and revenues not meeting expenditures led to CPR announcing its abrupt closure in June of that year. What you see now are the ruins of the Pacific Coal Company tipple, and the area of the old tipple that we currently stand in is in the top corner. It's hidden not far off the road between the coke ovens and the entrance of the mine itself. Some 110 years later, this is all that remains, a quiet shell of a once thriving mine in town. Although the site is a historic monument and a true testament to early mining accomplishments as modern society, it slowly falls apart, whispering of early sophistication and dreams once had by the men who worked here long ago. The coal seams near the town proved thinner and more geologically difficult than anticipated. Water intrusion, shifting ground, and better prospects elsewhere made operations increasingly unprofitable. By 1914, the writing was on the wall, and in 1919, just 13 years after it was founded, the Hosmer PCC mine closed its doors. Many families moved on. The town slowly emptied. Buildings were dismantled or left to decay. The ovens became cold. Coal Creek, Michel Natel, and Corbin Mines managed to carry on through the First World War and the Great Depression, but by 1935, Corbin found itself amid a crippling strike by the miners for better working conditions. In May of that year, the company stunned everyone with the announcement of that mine's closure. The rail line to the mine was ripped up and sold in 1938. In 1943, Corbin was reopened by Consolidated Mining and Smelting, with the small amounts of coal being trucked to the McGillivray Loop, where it was reloaded and railed to the smelters at Trail and Kimberley. In 1948, this still remote mine was again shut down. Coal Creek continued working on through the Second World War and well into the 1950s, until the emergence of oil as a more effective fuel led to its closure in late 1958. As with other coal mining towns that had closed, Coal Creek's infrastructure and houses were systematically dismantled and moved elsewhere. Today, only a handful of structures remain, most famously the ruins of the coke ovens, standing like stone relics of a forgotten empire. They are among the best preserved industrial remains in British Columbia, and a rare physical link to Canada's early energy history. Coal from the seams just north of town was extracted and hauled to the ovens, where it was fired at extreme temperatures for days. The result? A cleaner burning, energy-dense product that could be shipped to foundries across the country. Hosmer coal didn't just feed the railway, it helped build these rails. The coke ovens are mostly gone. Some 240 ovens used to stand here, only a few remain. Most have succumbed to the elements surrounding the area or infrastructure that has developed in the last 110 or so years. The method of coking coal was a simple but laborious process. The charge of coal was loaded through the top hole into the sealed oven where it was superheated in an oxygen-poor environment, which drove off gases and impurities. Once the process is completed, the product was shoveled out of the oven and cooled off with a spray of water. It was then shipped off to customers via the railway. Hosmer wasn't just a mining camp, it was an engineered town, a model of progress and prosperity. Homes were built for workers and their families, schools, churches, and businesses lined the streets. A grand hotel welcomed travelers, and the whistle of the train marked the rhythm of daily life.
Wow. You know, every time I come back here, it takes my breath away. It's kind of cool thinking that 120 years ago there was a giant piece of machinery in here and a bunch of people, and it was busy. And
in the wind that whistles through the Elk Valley, you can still hear the past.
I just about went down. I tripped.
You're gonna do something about you, make sure it's on camera.
Yeah, no doubt. I want to say something that is quite cool. I don't actually know if they're an oven. I don't really know what it is, but
Everyone's got some beers over here. You know what I mean?
water lines. Well. Little tram line there. Old coal chute. Still just tons of coal on the bottom of the floor. Coal dust. That's the old handle. You pull that, it would open up and the coal would fall down here. And they had rail cars that would take it all the way out. So that's pretty cool to see those doors. I doubt they'll open. No, rusted right shut. Another one. It's pretty cool. There's the hole. And this is where we were at the beginning. If you guys remember, that well is right on the other side of this wall right here. That's where they got their water from. So, or maybe this is where they washed the coal. It would come down and they washed it down here and transported it out. That'd have to look good. Oh, backside. Welcome to the portals of old Hosmer mine site.
The men who worked these mines were tough, resilient, and often immigrants from Europe, Scots, Welsh, Slavs, Italians, each bringing their own skills and cultures. Working conditions were dangerous, the pay modest, but the sense of purpose was profound. They weren't just digging coal, they were fueling a nation.
See the old concrete right there? All the way along. Look at that water, eh? Oh, so he's been here recently. That's 4, I'm pretty sure. Fascinating, if you ask me. It's pretty fascinating. It means the mine is right in here. It's right below this mound. So those entrances went from this side in, these ones went that way. And this crooked took a right turn. Because they were so dangerous, full of gas and whatnot, they collapsed all of them. So, as cool as these are, we can't actually enter any of these shafts anymore, seeing as that's the other side of the entrance. These went in, and to a right-hand turn, they went into the actual mine itself. It is somewhere underneath this giant mound of dirt in the side of this mountain. And yeah, shortly after they closed these mines, they collapsed everything so nobody can get back in and get hurt. There's several people that ended up dying or succumbing to low oxygen and what be it. So. Now this is one of the most interesting parts of this whole little excursion we're on, because nobody knows these are here. I don't know which way to go on that. We'll go down that one after. This is super deep here, buddy.
It's not really held on by anything, just careful.
This is my favorite part of the Pacific Coal Company ruins, and some of the lesser known remnants of what used to be. Just up the trail from the portal stands a decaying concrete relic, the fan house. It used to pump air into the mines for the workers. The steel fan at the bottom of the ruins would have been mounted up top and fed air into the mine via ventilation shafts. Unfortunately, Mother Nature and the test of time had destroyed what was left behind after the closure of the Pacific Coal Company. Today, the ground shifts, water rushes through its insides, the walls crack and bow, what's left of the timbers fall, and this small glimpse into what was slowly falls back into the mountainside.
Oh yeah. Oh, it almost looks like oxyacetylene actually. I'm looking at it. Just to meet you.
So what I'm thinking, because if you look at the way that the concrete is curved here, along this whole thing, I feel like this wheel sat up here and turned.
The first awareness of the presence of coal in the Elk Valley can be dated as far back as 1845 to one Father Pierre Jean de Smet, a Belgian Jesuit missionary who worked with the Kootenai and Flathead Ktunaxa Nation. De Smet wrote to his bishop in New York that he had found a large piece of coal along a river he called Riviere des Choux, or the Elk River, and stated further that, "I'm convinced this fossil could be abundantly procured." Michael Phillips, discoverer of the Crow's Pass, worked his way up the Elk River in 1973 and also made note of the coal exposures. Phillips prudently sent samples of his findings to George M. Dawson, a renowned geologist with the Geological Survey of Canada. Dawson came west and mapped the formations encompassing most geological ages in parts of southeastern BC and southwestern Alberta and published his findings. Shortly after that, a syndicate was formed with William Fernie and Colonel James Baker, who, taking note of Dawson's encouraging report, set in motion a series of manipulations and maneuvers that ultimately led to the formation of the Crow's Pass Coal Company and the signing of the infamous and controversial Tripartite Agreement. The syndicate recognized the significance of the coal resource there and helped bring about the construction of the badly needed rail link through the Crow's Pass area from Lethbridge to Kootenai Landing by CPR. That's when the developments in the Elk Valley area really took off. William Fernie and 20 imported Cape Breton coal miners started the area's first mine up Coal Creek east of the present town of Fernie in 1897 in preparation for the arrival of the railroad. Coal Creek eventually bloomed into a beautiful small town with all the necessary mining structures, several mine entries, and a collection of houses and duplexes complemented by 4 churches. The Crow's Pass Coal Company grew rapidly and eventually started new mines at Michel Natal near Sparwood in 1901 and at Morrissey about 7 miles south of Fernie in 1902. They capitalized on the lucrative coking coal market developing in the Pacific Northwest states and at Trail, BC by building no less than 1,188 coke ovens by 1904. In 1906, CPR, who had been kept from mining coal in the Elk Valley for 10 years because of the Tripartite Agreement, began construction of its Hosmer mine 6 miles north of Fernie. By 1908, entries had been driven, a massive tipple and boiler house powerhouse complex were operational, and 240 more coke ovens were added to the valley's total. By 1908, there were 4 very active mining areas in operation in the Elk Valley: Coal Creek, Morrissey, Hosmer, and Michel Natal. All were underground and all produced domestic and industrial steam coals and coke for the ever-growing smelting industry. In 1908, Spokane Railroad entrepreneur Daniel Corbin, who had visited the monster coal pod at Coal Mountain in the Flathead Valley 3 years earlier, formed the Corbin Coal and Coke Company and established a very isolated mining camp for the miners there. Old-timers referred to the coal deposits there as the Big Show. The bulk of Corbin's production was shipped to the United States via a new spur line that Corbin built called the Eastern and British Columbia Railway, an extension of Corbin's Spokane International Line. And only whispers of the treasures Father Pierre and Michael Phillips once laid their eyes on are left behind.
What's crazy is last time we were here, none of these timbers were right here. So they have all washed down from down there. And they piled up here somehow. Or they fell from up top here or something. Because I don't think those were there last time. And that's where we just were standing up. That's a bit much snow to be hiking through. You can see how deteriorated. It's just water pouring through there.
Hosmer reminds us that even the brightest chapters in history can carry profound meaning. It is a monument to labor, innovation, and a relentless pursuit of progress. In Stone and Silence, it tells the story of a nation rising on coal dust and courage. Thanks for watching.